Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the next episode of Above the Notches, a show where we talk about everything outdoors and hunting and lots of stuff like that. I'm one of your hosts. I am Adam Noyce. Joining me is my co-host,
Ryan Marvin.
I think we were going to have a fun episode because we don't quite know what stories we're going to tell each other. But I do want to start off this way because I've wanted to say this for a while, and I think it's a good segue into what we're going to be talking about. I saw you post this picture here on Facebook, or I've seen it. I'm not sure when did you get that?
That was maybe 2018, 2019.
Okay, because I've seen the picture of it.
Yeah.
Right? And I've always wanted to say this. That is the blackest motherfucking black bear I have ever seen.
Well, trust me, when he stood up 10 feet away from me, I thought the same thing.
I've never seen a black bear that black.
Yeah.
Like the nose and everything. I'll probably post a picture of it. I didn't want to just put that on social media as a comment. Like, that's the blackest black bear.
This guy's racist against black bears.
But I saw that and I was like, what the fuck? Because I've only seen all the black bears that I've gotten have had the brown nose.
Brown nose and sometimes brown in their ears.
Yeah. The one that I got last year, actually, she had red ears.
Yeah.
I've never gotten one with a white patch yet on the chest.
Neither have I.
No, that's a goal.
Yeah.
I'd love to get one like that.
I'd love to get
day.
a white patch bear.
Yeah. If I got a white patch, I would cough up the money to do something with a mount, maybe.
Anyway, we were thinking that for this episode, we were going to tell our best hunting stories.
Yes.
Or our favorite ones.
Yeah,
probably
best
both.
Yeah, probably. My definition of best is, in my head, my instinct would go, okay, hunting stories that went good. Sometimes best can be, it was a shit hunting, but it was fun.
Everything went sideways.
Everything went sideways. It's a good story. So I'm leaving that interpretation up to you.
Well, I'll start off with my best deer. My best deer is going to be one of my best stories, so I'll take him down right now.
I feel bad for people who are literally listening to this only.
Well, this is my biggest deer ever. It's a deer I call the General.
The General? That's what you call it?
I shot him in 2019. He weighed 193 pounds and he scored 124, I think the plaque says. Really, it's not a great story, but it's a good story.
No,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
This deer, it was mid-November. It was like a week into rifle season. Mm-hmm. And there's a spot, it's kind of like a community spot. Like, all my friends hunt there, I've hunted there forever. It's one of these spots that everybody knows about. I got to the spot a little late. I wanted to get there earlier and get up into the woods before sunup. And when I pulled in, the spot, there's like this old driveway up to this abandoned house. And I got there was fresh deer tracks going up the driveway. So I was like, and normally what we do is we drive up to this abandoned house and we park there, then we'd go off into the woods.
Now, was this regular rifle season? Or
this was regular rifle season.
Okay.
There's these fresh tracks going up, and so I was like, the deer could be up by this abandoned house right now, so I'm just going to park right here and go up in. So I shut off my truck, and I started walking up in real slowly, and I got about halfway up this driveway, maybe 100 yards from my truck. And I turned around, and I heard clip, clop, clip, clop, clip, clop. Sounded just like a horse running down the road. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is that? And I turned around and I see this deer running down the road behind my truck.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's one of the biggest deer I've ever seen. And he's standing right in the middle of the road where I can't shoot him.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of stuck here watching him. And so I watch him, and on the opposite side of the road was posted. And so I was like, oh, he's just going to go over there. I'll never fucking see him again. What I think happened was, so like I said, when I pulled in, there was deer tracks going up.
Right.
I think that those tracks must have been doe tracks. And then I pulled in between when the does came up in and when this buck that was following them showed up. He ran down the road, and when he got to my truck, he stopped and he just kept looking at it like he wasn't expecting it. You know how a dog sometimes will tilt its head sideways?
Yeah.
I swear to God he was doing that. He was just like looking at my truck just...
That must be the universal sign of what the fuck's happening?
Yeah.
What's going on?
He just kept looking at my truck, and so I can't shoot him, obviously. He's in the middle of the road. You know, that's highly illegal. He kind of walks towards my truck, and he's sniffing it. And I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is one of the biggest deer I've ever seen in my entire life, and he's sniffing my truck right now, and I can't shoot him. Eventually, he walks kind of away from my truck, but he keeps looking at it like, you know, he's very unsure of himself at this point. You know, he was super horned up chasing these does, which, like I said, I think is what happened. Now he just doesn't know. And so he does this circle around it, and I'm like, and I'm just kind of watching him, and I was like, and then it came to me, I was like, I'm 300 feet away from a house right now. I'm far enough away from the road right now. I don't think there's any reason why I can't shoot him. And there was a bend in the road right after where he was down here. There's a bend in the road.
Right.
And I was like, I still don't want to shoot at him when the road's the backdrop, because if I miss, I fucking bounce a bullet right off the road.
Yeah. And
that looks bad too. It doesn't just look bad, it is bad. So he kind of curved.
Technicalities.
So he curves up in and eventually gets to a point where the backdrop isn't the road anymore. It's woods. And he's maybe 80 yards away from me, and I shot him, and he dropped right in his tracks.
Holy shit. What gun were you using?
I was using my 30-06. I shot him right here. Right there.
Nice.
Right there in the old necky. Kind of a bullshit hunting story. You know, not the kind of way.
That's not hunting.
Right. It's not really hunting, but I'll take him how I can get him.
Right. I wouldn't know what the fuck to do. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh, I was purely dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. And
what the fuck was that?
And the funniest part was, like, where I shot him. Like I said, everything was perfectly legal about this hunt. But if you would have driven by after I shot him, you would have just seen a guy holding a deer, like, not very far off the road. It would have looked so bad. It would have
looked very sketchy.
It would have looked like I pulled up the road and shot him right from my truck. I've got better stories as far as, like, the actual quality of the hunt and stuff like that. But as far as just
story.
Like, what the fuck was that story? That's probably it. I got my New Hampshire Skull and Trophy Club patch on my on my hunting jacket. From
shit.
He was big enough. I think you got to score above 120, and he scored 124. So
how dumb of him.
I know.
How horny must he?
He must have been.
You don't get that big by being dumb.
No.
What I find funny is, are you willing to, like, mount something if it just has a good story to go along with it, to, like, remember it?
I would, yeah.
Because I could see myself doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd mount, like, a spike horn, but, you know.
At least, like, a skull. Like, I love those skull mounts that you got.
Yeah, sure. I got plenty of European mounts, but
yeah, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell just because it involves you, and honestly, it is one of my favorite hunting stories, because one, I was a happy camper after I got it, and two, there's first time we ever went hunting together. It's the first animal I'd gotten other than that bear for years. We were traveling around one morning. You arrived, you picked me up early in the morning. We were just sort of driving around, and we'd stop every once in a while. And
we tried a few of the normal spots that I look for turkeys, and didn't get anything gobbling, didn't see anything, and then we stopped at that spot, and immediately I made a call and immediately hammered off down below. So the spot we were at, there's like a pull off beside the highway. Yeah. Then there's just fields that go.
There's a steep hill.
There's a steep hill. Yeah. And like all the way down through, there's just like fields down into this bottom where there's like, apple trees and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's just the classic spot where you expect turkeys to hang out. Mm-hmm. And I know it does get hunted hard, but probably more early in the season.
Mm-hmm. It was like, we heard it, we went down in there, and then we got about halfway to where like 3/4 of the way where we actually sat down. Yeah. And you let out another call, and that fucker was coming in.
And he was coming.
Yeah, like, he was horny.
Yeah, it wasn't time to fuck around. We had to, get set up and get ready.
And I remember you had your hen decoy. I brought mine because I didn't know what you were going to bring too, so I'm lugging that thing around too. And you just put it down, then you ran behind me, and I sat down literally on the corner of the field, and I was just propping the gun up on my leg.
There was like an L shape in the field. He was down in the long L, and we were in the little L.
Yes.
And what I wanted to do was call him into that 90-degree corner.
Yes.
So the second he came through, I didn't want him to be able to see the hen decoy, so he couldn't hang up.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did some soft calls, and I wanted to put the hen decoy just like around the corner from him.
Yeah.
So he almost had to be within shotgun range.
Yes.
For him to show when he showed up.
And it was a perfect distance too. It pains me that I want to also get a 12-gauge shotgun, because I love this freakishly long-barreled 16-gauge shotgun that I have, because I am a big man, not just fat, but I'm also freakishly tall.
He's big boned. Don't give him shit.
That gun is so comfortable for me.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, I love it, right? And it's in good condition.
It's the kind of gun where if I saw it, I'd be like, that's an Adam Noyes gun.
Yeah. But I just propped it up. You caught it on, you
I
filmed
caught it on
it,
video. We might splice that in right now
Yeah,
if we can get it.
If we can get it. But literally, I could hear him coming, and he just rounded the corner. I can hear you behind me.
Yeah, shoot him.
Yeah, shoot him. And I'm kind of waiting for him to, because he rounded the hen.
Well, he didn't stop. What he did was he came in, he was strutting, and he tried to lead the hen away.
Yeah.
Because he strutted like straight away from us. I was like, oh, this cocksucker's going to strut right away from us. He must have seen something he didn't like. And then I hit him hard with a couple calls.
Yeah.
And then he went out of strut, and he turned right around, and he came right back.
Yeah, that's kind of when I took him, and you can see him just...
Yeah, and
And the reason why I loved this so much is because I remember sitting there after I shot him and being like, fuck, that was quick.
Yeah. Sometimes that's how it happens.
And that's why I love turkey hunting so much, is because sometimes you can just be sitting out there for all fucking day and see absolutely fucking nothing, hear absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're walking to get out of there and you just say, you know what, one more call, and they're not 20 feet away from you.
Yeah.
But it happened so quick that it was almost like I couldn't wrap my head around what just happened.
Yeah. It's kind of nice when it happens that quick because you don't have time to get nervous. It's
No.
just like...
No, I had no time. I just barely put my fucking face mask on when it rounded the corner.
Yeah, he must have been without hens for a day or two because of the way he came in.
I think he was a bit old. He was an older...
He had good spurs
turkey.
on him.
Yeah. On top of that, it was the first time I ever shot.
Yeah.
I've gotten one good-sized Jake, but it was still a Jake. And I still have one of the breasts in the freezer ready to go to cook.
Turkey meat's so underrated too.
It is. The problem I have with turkey meat is that when you're prepping it, it smells so
Yeah,
bad.
it has a funk to it.
And I made a shredded spaghetti kind of like dinner out of it. What I did was
Like
I
a bolognese
put it,
kinda?
yeah. And it was delicious.
Turkey, I think it depends a lot on what that specific turkey ate.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Well, bear's the same way.
I'll have some turkeys that, it smells just like turkey from the store. And I'll have other turkeys where it's just like, ooh.
Oh my God. I got the tail mounted with the beard. It's actually very similar to the one that you have over there, except a little bit bigger.
I was going to ask you how that came out.
It came out pretty good. I now know what not to do
Yeah.
when mounting that thing.
Yeah.
I just know I'm not going to use that specific mount again, and I now know how to better...
Yeah, they don't make all mounts equal.
Yeah, this mount that I got was horseshit.
Yeah.
It was garbage. So we kind of had to improvise. I kind of improvised a little bit with how to properly put it on. Now I know, because of all the experimentation I had with that thing, it was comical, Marvin. It was comical watching me trying to figure this fucking thing out. Yeah. And now that I know what not to do, it's like now I know exactly what to do. So it's almost like I almost can't wait to get the second mount because it's going to look better. The other thing, I tried bear liver for the first time because I like liver and onions. And I tried it, would not recommend it.
Yeah,
it was so strong. It was so strong.
I got to think of bears eating a lot of stuff that would make its liver.
Yeah, well, that's just it. With bear liver, you got to be careful because, like, if you got a brown bear, you shouldn't probably eat the liver at all.
Worms.
No, vitamin A, because of any meat that they eat. The more meat the bear eats, the more vitamin A you're going to have in the liver.
Huh.
And you can almost overdose on vitamin A. Like if you they say never eat a polar bear liver because there's so much vitamin A in there, it will kill you.
Huh.
I know that if I get a deer this year, I'm harvesting the liver.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not just going to harvest the liver. I'm going to harvest the heart as well, and I might harvest a tongue.
The heart. Have you ever had heart?
Yeah.
Deer heart is the most underrated meat in the world.
I fucked up on one of my deer hearts. And I didn't really like it. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Like I could tell, like if I just cooked it a different way, it would have been better.
Low heat with onions is the way to do it.
That's how I do it now going forward. But yeah, I just loved how quick that all happened. That's the part that I love about turkey hunting in particular, is how quick shit hits the fan.
Right.
When you go out there, and it's also very entertaining. It always keeps you on your toes because of that. In my opinion, too. And there's something about, sitting there blasting a hen call and hearing them coming in, because they're usually not quiet. They're usually at least gobble a couple of times. Though the first turkey I got, which was another Jake, he came in silent.
Jakes will come in silent sometimes because especially if there's a big tom around,
tom,
because they don't want to get their ass kicked by the big tom. So they'll sneak in and be like, "Oh, I can breed this hen real quick," and nobody finds out.
That first turkey I got, Marvin, was a funny story because we were just sitting out back of my grandpa's. It was my pump. It was my pump. It was a 16 gauge. I fired, and I shot it, but it fell and then got up. Right, it wasn't the best shot, and I remember why. It was because I had a hard time seeing the BB at the front of the gun. And Mark was standing beside me, and he had a double barrel 20 gauge ready to go. And so he was like, "Fucking A," and he put the gun up ready to finish it off. And I remember I looked at him and I said, "No, you don't." And I just automatically pumped it in another shot and took it before he had a chance to do anything. And he was laughing his ass off. He was worried that I was going to be I was so excited, and I was, that my brain was just going to short circuit.
Oh, I've been there before.
Yeah, I've seen it happen. It's happened with me. I've seen it happen with a couple of other partners that I've gone with.
Not everybody can perform in the moment.
It happens, and I know full well it'll happen to me again at some point. I'll be like so wrapped up in the moment that I'll be like, "What?"
Buck fever. Sometimes it's turkey fever, but this is my 10-point. Some of you will probably laugh, especially those of you from the Midwest, but around here, that's a good deer. He's probably maybe 100 inches if I'm lucky. This deer was my first ever rifle buck. This was 2018. I was hunting out in this section. I'm trying to tell the story and not tell everybody where the fuck this was, but I was out in this area that has a couple of old logging roads and an old railroad cut. So I had tracked this deer. Well, it would have been a Thursday. I shot it Thanksgiving morning 2018, which would have been a Thursday because Thanksgiving's always on a Thursday. So I started hunting this area maybe on a Monday. I found a bunch of tracks. There was one really good buck track in there, which was probably this deer. Kind of did some little pushes and stuff like that with Dad, and didn't see anything. But I was like, there's enough deer sign in there that I should go back there. So I went back there. I went back there the next day and I tracked him all day, and there's kind of like a triangle of like roads. There's like the railroad cut, and this logging road went this way. This other logging road went to the same area. I kind of was slowly figuring out what this deer was doing. He was chasing the does, but he was doing it in a circle. And he kind of crossed through the same area every day. Tuesday, I didn't hunt it, but then on Wednesday, I hunted it with a friend of mine. And we were hunting, and we never saw anything, but in one of the sections of this loop, we could hear bucks fighting. We could literally, we could hear the antlers smashing together.
Awesome.
We couldn't tell what direction it was coming from, but we could just hear deer fighting. And we were like, what the hell's going on here? And so the next day I was like I say, I was slowly figuring out what this deer was doing, and he was doing a circle. And I was like, I think he passes through this section first thing in the morning. Because I've gone through here a couple times tracking him, and I know he crossed this road in daylight.
Right.
And so I went right to that spot. I was like, I'm not going to track him this time. I'm just going to go to this spot and either see him or get on his track like right behind him.
Right.
And so I'm like slowly walking up this not really a road, but a road that you can shoot on. It's a trail. Road. It's a trail.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there looking at the tracks from last night. I look up and he's just standing there looking at me like 60 yards away.
Yeah.
This deer is just, and he's just staring me down. He's not moving a muscle. What he did was he walked out into the middle of the trail and then realized he messed up, and he's just staring at me, staying as still as possible.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know that I see him yet.
Yeah.
And so I see him, and I was totally not prepared. Like, it was kind of the same situation as that story I told earlier. Yes. Like, it happened super quick and super early in the hunt. I didn't walk very far away from my trap, and I flipped my safety off on my 308 that I was using, and I went to put my finger into the hole to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
But I was wearing gloves at the time, so I went to put it in, and it wouldn't go in.
Fuck.
As fast as possible, I ripped that glove off, threw it on the ground, put the gun back up, and boom, I shot him. And I shot him right in the heart, and he ran maybe 50 yards and died. But
I never would have had that level of luck in my life.
Oh yeah, it was lucky as hell. And come to find out, we think maybe because it was a really fresh wound, the bucks that we heard fighting the day before was this buck was one of them because he had this damage on
I
his
was going
ear.
to say, his ear looks like it was ripped to shreds, so he's clearly been fighting.
And so I had the taxidermist do this, but
Yeah.
he had this huge chunk that was ripped out of his ear
Yeah.
when we found him.
Yeah.
And it was definitely from fighting because like the edges of it were all like bloody and stuff.
Yes, of
And
course.
it was definitely a fresh injury. So we think that one of the bucks fighting that we heard fighting was him.
Dude, I've never heard that in the wild. I've heard it on plenty of videos, hunting videos. You know, the deer fighting out there. I think I'd be shaking.
He went 183 pounds, I think.
Holy shit.
And he was old as hell. He didn't
Yeah.
have any teeth left in his head.
Oh, okay.
This was probably his last winter
Yeah.
that he was gonna have. So it was the perfect time to shoot this deer. I love that story because I actually, unlike the one before, I actually took time and like I had this deer figured out. I didn't know how well I had him figured out. I wasn't expecting to walk right into the woods,
Right.
and he was standing there staring at me.
Right.
I figured this deer out and I shot him. That was one of the first times where like the I guess research
Paid off.
paid off.
Yeah. Mark shot a big buck out back at my grandpa's house because, of course, he now owns the land. That's where he's going to fucking hunt. And
Oh, Mark bought your grandfather's house? I didn't
Yep.
know that.
They've completely renovated that house. It's
No shit.
It's gorgeous. Well, he's also a carpenter.
Right.
That's what he does. It's a gorgeous house. All those old trails that were once back there that, when we were filming shit and
Yeah,
we
the
would go
old
back
sugar
there,
house and stuff.
that's all restored.
Sweet.
Yeah, all those trails are there. He's now got more trails that were once there before I was even a thing. He's opened those up. And he lets family hunt back there and stuff like that, and I'm family, but he's very particular about like where you go and where not to go and stuff like that. And I follow his rules to a T. And he shot a huge buck. It was huge. He gave me some of the meat on that because he likes deer meat, but he gets sick of it. And so he just had a bunch of ground meat in the freezer ready to go. And I love ground meat. To me, you can cook so much with ground meat.
It's versatile.
Yeah, it's very versatile. And that's what I do with bear too. Most of it, other than the tenderloins, I tend to just ground the rest of it up, and I'll make sausage. I'll do everything out of it.
Roast.
Yeah. The first deer in which he did that, I noticed that you hardly tasted a gamey flavor at all on it. It was delicious. That bigger one that he got was unbelievably gamey, but you could definitely tell it was a bigger.
The
bigger
gamiest
buck.
deer I've ever shot is a few years ago in New Hampshire. The first couple days of muzzleloader season is any deer days, so you can shoot.
Yeah.
You can shoot either deer depending on the. You can shoot a buck or a doe, depending on what management unit you're in.
Yeah.
And I was hunting in a management unit that you shoot does in. I shot this doe, and normally they say does are the best eating. Well, this doe must have been old. Or,
She might have been old.
She might have been real old or something. Not only was she tough, the flavor wasn't there. I wouldn't really describe her as gamey.
Mm-hmm.
Just the flavor wasn't.
It was off.
It wasn't even off. It just like it didn't have the same amount of flavor.
Ah, okay.
She did die like kind of like in the water. I shot her and she ran off into the swamp. She kind of like died in like a swamp puddle.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that made a difference or not. I wouldn't think it would.
I wouldn't think it would either.
But we got her out and we washed her off in there too. So I don't know if that did something to the meat. I wouldn't think it would, but
She may have been eating something kind of funky too. We don't know.
yeah. She lived right in the middle of a swamp, so.
Yeah.
But normally it doesn't matter as much with deer as it does with like bear or something. But
That's actually very interesting because the second bear that I got, which by the way, again, it's going to sound really lame, but that was honestly the first animal I ever gutted myself too.
Mm-hmm.
I had Mark standing over my shoulder because I called him up because I was all excited. This is the first animal
Right.
I'd gotten in
and
almost
it's way
a decade.
easier. It's way easier to get something if someone's holding a flashlight for you.
No, it was during day. It was during the morning,
Oh,
so I had
right.
plenty of light. So I lucked out. I really lucked out.
Right.
And Mark, helped me. It wasn't a big bear, so I was able to drag it myself. But he was just sort of saying like, let's move it over here because I didn't know where he wanted me to gut it, and because he's also pretty big on that too.
Yeah.
He wants you in certain spots to gut it are okay and some aren't. I'm gutting it out, and he was like, Adam, he prepped me for this. He was like, Adam, it's a bear. He hates gutting a bear.
Yeah.
Hates
they can reek sometimes.
And I'm like mentally preparing myself for like the worst case scenario, right? I cut into that thing and I get, a bit of a waft of it. Berries.
Yeah.
Nothing but blackberries, cherries, and raspberries. And I was like,
Not bad.
I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I can work with this.
I had a buddy of mine, he shot a bear with his bow one time off of his bait site.
Yeah.
And he had Dunkin' Donuts in it.
Yeah.
And that was the same thing. We were like, and as I recall, he might have paunched it a little bit too. Even.
Okay. I'm so paranoid of doing that.
And so when we opened it up, we were like, oh, this is going to suck. We opened it up and it smelled like Dunkin' Donuts. We were like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The third bear that I shot, my most recent one, she stank. She kind of stank. However, it's really interesting. I don't have to put any seasoning at all on her. You can tell I'm cooking bear meat because just her meat smells different.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because if you just pop some of it in your mouth to eat it after you've cooked it well, that's something with bear that I can't emphasize enough. You need to cook it well.
Yeah, if you don't know, you don't...
Bear is not a red meat.
Yeah, you don't cook bear medium rare.
Yeah, you treat it like pork. I popped some of it in my mouth, and I can always tell I'm eating that bear because it's got a sweet tinge to it. It has this sweetness to it. And,
which that's from the little bit of fat that's in there.
Well, I got curious. I actually got curious about this because I remember her teeth were very brown. And I was like, you know what?
From the sugar. Yeah.
She's been hitting other bait sites.
Probably. Yeah.
She's been all around the place. She's been around. And sure enough, I asked, another bear hunter. I was like, have you ever had that? And he was like, was she eating a lot of bait? And I was like, what type of bait was it? And, it was the sweet granola kind of stuff that works a lot. And I was like, she was clearly eating a lot of that. And she was like, yeah, that's why. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, you know what? That makes sense because I know out west, if you're hunting grizzly, if you hunt a grizzly bear that's been eating fish, the meat is ruined because it's just going to taste like the absolute ass end of a fish.
And I think those ones get worms a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I would ever go grizzly hunting because I would never want to eat the meat because of horror stories I've heard specifically with grizzly bears. A lot of worms, a lot of parasites. Sure. Not that black bears don't have that, but I've just heard it way more with grizzly bears.
I mean, there's videos of grizzly bears walking around. There's like worms,
tapeworms hanging out of their ass. Yeah. I've been proud of that fucking deer.
Oh, I'm very proud of that deer. I love that buck, especially because he was my first rifle buck.
Yeah.
So he was my fourth deer I ever killed. I had killed 3 with a bow before then.
And again, that's something you do that I will never do is bow hunt.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot more of everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to video it. When we do the other thing, I would love to film it if I could.
Yeah.
Because I've never even been with somebody bow hunting before, Because Mark would do that too. Mark would bow hunt. He now doesn't do it because he literally can't muster the strength because he's fucked up his shoulder so much.
He should get a crossbow.
That's what I keep telling him. I'm like, you'd qualify. You'd be able to get a crossbow. And he's like, nah. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude, crossbow?
Those crossbows nowadays, you can shoot crazy far with them.
Yeah.
Like 100 yards.
And I'm sitting there, the historian in me is like, dude, you could fucking hunt with a goddamn crossbow.
Yeah.
You know how awesome that is? It's like during muzzleloader hunting, I'm like, dude, I would love to get an 1853 Civil War era Enfield musket.
You can do it.
And I'm like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, you know how cool it would be? I could reenact one day and then go hunting the next with that thing? Because they're like a equivalent of a 50 caliber round that you shove in there. And it's going to punch a hole.
An 1861 Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
Or I think it's an 1854 Sharps.
Well, those aren't muzzle loaders, though.
They're technically, I don't know what the
Sharps are breech loaders.
I don't know. Because there's this thing now called nitro fires.
Yeah.
Which is a thing where you put something in the back.
Okay.
But they put the bullet in from the front.
Then it's a muzzle loader. Yeah.
But they put the bullet in from the front, but they put the powder in from the back.
That's weird.
So I don't know how a Sharps would play. You'd have to call the state and be
with a Sharps, it's all in the rear. Yeah. All of it. The bullets in front of the cartridge with all the black powder and everything in the rear of it.
I'm sure you could you could load it from the front if you wanted to.
I suppose, but I've never heard of that being done that way, so I wouldn't really know.
Something to look into.
We're fucking nerds if we're talking about that side of it. I wanted an 1853 Enfield because it's more practical, because Enfields are cheaper than Springfields.
Yeah.
And also, my brain goes, if I'm reenacting, chances are I might have to be a rebel as well, because they tend to have less people up here.
And Enfield's got delivered to both.
Enfield is a universal gun for the American Civil War.
Yeah.
The South had tons of them. The North had a lot of them, especially up until 1863. Like the 20th Maine was armed with Enfields.
The only thing that I've read is like I've heard that a lot of the times if that troops, if like they saw a wagon full of like 1861 Springfields,
They'd take them.
They'd throw their Enfields
Yep.
away and take
Yep.
the 1861 Springfields.
Well, it was much easier to find ammo. It made
Yeah.
more logistical sense. Meanwhile, the South really did that. They'd take whatever the fuck they could find. You
Right.
know?
Oh, bunch of nails, throw it in there.
Throw them in there. The North predominantly used the 1863 patent Springfield. That was their main weapon.
Yeah. My dream gun is, so I think they only made like a few thousand of them, if that, is a Confederate produced Sharps. I think they made like 2,000 or 3,000 of them, somewhere in that number. But that would be like a dream gun.
I love the Mississippi rifle. And we've seen them, because remember when we went to Gettysburg, there was that Italian guy there that had like...
Yeah, sure.
That was a Mississippi.
Yeah.
And they're really old. They were from 1841. I believe 1841. They were from 1841. They were one of the first... No, it's a rifle. It's a rifle. It was one of the first of their kind. But by the American Civil War, they were very outdated. But I love them because they are sword bayonets.
Right.
They were the sword bayonet
Sword bayonets
guns.
look so much cooler.
They're so cool. And but when we were talking to him, I was actually asking about him, because in that game that I play all the time, you can fight as that regiment. And he was even talking about it, how during the Antietam campaign, they were by Harper's Ferry in a place called Bolivar Heights.
Sure.
And they fought there, and that was the gun.
Which is like in Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
It's like the heights
It's
above Harper's Ferry.
Above Harper's Ferry, and there was a big camp there, and the Rebs just fucking overran it like there's no tomorrow. Not that they didn't put up a fight, but they were armed with garbage, and that was the gun that they had. And I just have a soft spot for that gun.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, I would love to get my hands on one of those.
I would love an original Harper's Ferry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've seen a few.
Yeah. Yeah, what does this have to do with hunting? We
Nothing.
don't know.
This might get cut. But
I don't know.
hunting stories.
But I've only ever gone muzzleloader hunting, I think 3 times. 3 times total, and once was with, even though I wasn't really hunting.
Right.
But I was with you, and I think that was the 3rd time I went.
I love muzzleloader hunting. It's the perfect balance of like an increase of difficulty,
Right.
but also not a pain in the ass like bow hunting is. Because bow hunting, like, there's people that are super into bow hunting, and I totally get it. I'm not one of those people. I just do it because the season is so long that it's like something to do.
Okay.
And I love shooting bow, but I don't necessarily love bow hunting.
I gotcha. No, I get that. I get it.
Like I go to the TAC tack shoot in Vermont and stuff like that, which is like it's called Tactical Archery Challenge. And
okay.
And it's on what was it, Pico Peak, part Killington Resort down, and basically you take a chairlift up to the top of the mountain and you shoot your way down.
I love that.
It's so much fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
And but the distances there's different levels. There's one that's, more like common, like distant shots, but we're taking like, anywhere from 40 to 80 yard shots with a bow. And it's like, it's no bullshit, and gets expensive quick if you can't shoot.
If you can't shoot, yeah, I believe it.
And it's fun. But anyway, muzzleloader is where rifle hunting is not easy. I'm not going to say that for a moment, but muzzleloader adds that extra aspect that I really like, but it's also not a pain in the ass, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I do get you. It's a good crossbreed of it. I'm paranoid to go muzzleloader hunting. I can. In fact, I'm debating if I want to get...
You can get a brand new muzzleloader for like $300.
Well, Mark has one that he says I'd want you to use this.
Yeah.
And it's one of the old for some reason I keep thinking it's Browning, but it's not Browning. It is a breech. It is a muzzleloader, but it has the Civil War era. What are they called? Why
Percussion cap?
Percussion cap. It's one of those. It's brown. It's all I can think of is Hawking too. That comes to mind. Yeah.
Hawking rifle.
It's one of those.
Does it look like this one? That's a Thompson Center New Englander.
Yeah, it looks very similar to
Or no,
that.
it's not a New Englander. It's a White Mountain carbine.
Yeah.
It's literally named after the place we are.
I was going to say this has to be a carbine. It's such short barrel, but it is. It's very similar to this. The wood's a bit darker, and it's definitely not a carbine.
Yeah.
But it is like this, and he's like, I would love you to use it, because it's just sitting there, and he's like, fucking use it if you want, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love to use it.
The White Mountain carbine. When I saw it was called that, I literally had to have it because I was like, I'm from the White Mountains, so
I want a carbine.
I want the White Mountain carbine.
I want a carbine. Marvin, you know how you saying you love the Sharps? I love the Sharps carbine.
Oh yeah.
Tomorrow. The Sharps carbines I think are so fucking cool, especially since I've learned a lot about cavalry and skirmisher tactics, and I'm like I've fallen in love with the little carbines. I'm paranoid because you only have that one shot, really. You know, that's in theory. You have the one chance. And I'm still nervous because of me having to relearn how to shoot righty. Me not being able to target practice as much as I want to. That's a big part of it.
Sure.
And I also know how excited I get. And it's like I really want, to me it's like rifle, it's rifle or bust. I would love to go muzzleloader hunting. I would, just for the challenge of it. I'm just not sure if I've got the confidence yet to say go for it.
I finally thought of an analogy for muzzleloader hunting.
What?
It's like when you're playing a video game, you don't want to play on easy mode.
Yeah.
But that super hard mode, you're like, what the fuck?
I'm not ready for veteran yet.
Yeah. It's like, rifle hunting is the, beginner mode. It's not really, but that's where this analogy is going.
Yeah.
Beginner mode, you got medium, and then you got hard.
Mm-hmm.
And on some games, the hard is just like, what are we doing?
Yes.
Which is bow hunting sometimes. It's just like, it sucks.
It's the equivalent of having nothing but grenades lobbed at you the entire game.
Right.
Yeah. That's a pretty good analogy. And, I think that's also to say rifles for, like, beginners. I think that's pretty accurate.
That's pretty fair.
I know, like, youth season, that's rifle.
Not many people begin with a bow.
With a bow, yeah. Very, very few. I certainly didn't. I started with a rifle. So there, we had a couple of stories we told.
A couple stories, still a lot more in the bag.
A lot more. So there's going to be plenty of episodes of those. All of our social media, or my social media, I should say, is in the description below.
Yeah, go to his page. Button. Don't go to mine. Leave me alone.
What the fuck are you doing? Leave me alone. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the next episode, and sayonara.